and we will just wait for people to join.
Woo.
All right, well, welcome everyone. We are going to be starting in just about 30 seconds. All right, welcome. So welcome to the virtual college fair for all Alaska students. Thank you so much for joining us. Just a few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your questions to our presenter at any time. Your camera and your microphone are off, so the panelists will not be able to see or hear you. And this is just one of many different sessions that StriveScan is offering. Check out the full schedule at strivescan.com/Alaska. Again, that's strivescan.com/Alaska. And this presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at that same website that I just mentioned before. I am going to go ahead and turn it over to Joe, and I'll turn off my camera and microphone. So Joe, feel free to take it away.
Hello, everybody. My name is Joe Alloway, and I am the recruitment coordinator for the University of Alaska Fairbanks. So I'm going to go ahead and, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here so you can see my presentation. So for the sake of keeping things not so laggy, I turned on my camera so you could see me, but now I'm going to turn it off for the presentation part here. So this presentation is going to go a little bit quickly, and I want to tell you how it's going to run really quick before we start. So my name is Joe Alloway. I'm the recruitment coordinator from the University of Alaska Fairbanks College of Engineering and Mines. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the College of Engineering and Mines and about the wonderful world of engineering, what it is, what it isn't, and all the wonderful things that you can do in that world. And more specifically, of course, I'm going to be talking about UAF right here in the golden heart of the state. For this presentation, because we're not able to travel and visit with our students as much as we normally do, we asked each of the departments in our college to make short videos for you to tell you a little bit about what they think is so cool about their programs and what they hope that you'll think is cool about their programs. So as we move forward, there's going to be a few videos from our departments, and I hope that you enjoy them. If you have questions as we're going through this presentation, please type them at any time into the Q&A box, but I won't be answering those until we get closer to the end of the presentation. And of course, if you have more questions, you're always welcome to contact me later. I will give my email address at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, let's head north to your future. So start with a good classic question. What do engineers do? Well, pretty much everything. So what I like to tell folks is that if it's not living or naturally occurring, it was probably engineered. So pretty much everything that we use all the time is a product of engineering, whether it's the roads that we drive on, whether it's the phones in our pockets, the internet that we're literally talking to each other right now. These are all products of engineering. So what does that mean? What actually is engineering? Well, here's a nice textbook definition for you. So engineering is the profession in which knowledge of the mathematical and natural sciences gained by study, experience, and practice is applied with judgment to develop ways to economically utilize the materials and forces of nature for the benefit of humankind. That's engineering in a nutshell. It's a very proactive, creative discipline. So in that case, then, what's the difference between engineering and science? Well, couple of good thoughts on that. So Theodore von Karman has to say that scientists discover the world that exists, engineers create the world that never was. Another name that you may have heard of, old Al here, Albert Einstein, says that scientists investigate that which already is, engineers create that which has never been. And that's really a good way to think about it. So engineering and science are very intimately linked. Science is the observation. Science is the theory. Science is the discovery. Science is the way that we understand how the world, how the universe is the way that it is. Engineering is how we take the discoveries of science and we combine them with the language that is mathematics to create new things. Things like cars don't exist in nature. Like there's not just a breed of Toyota in the hills of Japan that just drives around wild and free. That's not how it works. In order to get to the point of having that Toyota, thousands and thousands and thousands of small steps towards that product need to be made. And that's engineering. It's not reinventing the wheel, but it is improving it. So what do engineers actually do? Well, we already said this, but apply math and science to benefit humankind, make a world of difference. In that is the job. Changing the world is the job, because the whole point of being an engineer is to look at the world and see the challenges around you and say, what could be better and how could it be better, and work towards that. And those small little changes, when you multiply them by a few billion people, it turns out a small change is actually a big change. That's what engineering is all about, changing the world. Are creative problem solvers, and I like to emphasize the creativity part there when I'm speaking with students, because creativity is absolutely central to engineering. Because again, back to what I just said, if we want to look at the world and change it, we want to improve the world, we want to make it better than what it is, that means doing things that we haven't done before, doesn't it? That means improving things. You can't just do things the same way they've always been done and assume that things are going to get better. That's not how it works. So if you want to make changes, you have to be creative. So all those crazy ideas you've got in your head, maybe they're not so crazy after all. Creativity and big ideas are a big deal in engineering. Help shape the future. I think I already talked a little bit about that. Provide services that are essential to our health, happiness, and safety. A lot of things that we take for granted. Things like drinkable water, roads, the internet, electricity. I promise you, you would miss them if they were gone. And turn ideas into reality. And to me, that's the really big one, isn't it? Like when you're a little kid and you're playing with your Legos or your Lincoln Logs or your Connects or whatever it is that you like to play with, the thing that's so fun about it is that you make the idea of what you want to build in your head and then you go do it. That's literally why Animal Crossing New Horizons is the biggest game of the decade so far. Not a high bar, admittedly it's 2020, but it's a sandbox. You get to take the ideas in your head and make new things with them. And engineering is that, but for a living, not just for fun. So before we get into talking about each of the departments and talking about UAF, we have a quick greeting here for you from our dean, Dr. Bill Schnabel.
Hi there, my name is Bill Schnabel. I am the Dean of the UAF College of Engineering and Mines. And if you are watching this, you've tuned into the Alaska College Fair. And most specifically, you've tuned into a session to look at and think about a degree in engineering or computer science from the University of Alaska Fairbanks. And here's why that's a good idea. It's a good idea because a degree in engineering or computer science is your ticket to a rewarding career, to a lifetime of being able to be creative and being able to use your mind to design things and to make the world a better place. It's a wonderful career. Over the course of this video, you're going to see from our departments at UAF lots of the different things that you can do while you're here and why it's engaging and why it's a great place to come to school. But remember this. A degree in engineering and computer science or computer science is something you have to work for, it's something you have to strive for, and it's definitely worth it. So thank you for looking at UAF College of Engineering and Mines, and I hope to talk to you soon. Thank you.
So on that note, let's talk about UAF. So there are many opportunities at UAF that we're going to jump into. First is the elephant in the room, if you will, is the building itself, the Engineering, Learning, and Innovation Facility. It's the newest building on campus, opened just under 2 years ago. It's 120,000 square feet of new space, so labs, project rooms, classrooms, all sorts of good stuff. And it's very much a student-focused space. That's one of the things that, in my opinion, is one of the best parts of this building, is that it's very much a place for students. There's a lot of places for students to work together, for students to study, for students to practice, for students to work in the labs. And of course, now things are a little bit different with COVID and with social isolation and with social distancing. But nevertheless, the space is very good for use, and it's actually quite conducive to studying. And in the case of something like engineering, the facilities really do matter, because if you're going to be spending a lot of time in a lab or a workspace or a workshop or a machine shop or things like that, it'd be nice if it wasn't like tiny and cramped and like no windows or anything like that, because you're going to be spending a lot of time there. And so you'd probably like it to be a place that you would want to actually be. And we're really proud to say that that is true of eLife. It's an absolutely fantastic building. There's space for everyone, and there's lots of things to explore and lots of things to get engaged with in that building. So now let's talk about the majors. So within our college, we have 8 undergraduate programs. So civil, computer engineering, computer science, geological engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, mining engineering, and petroleum engineering. Each of these programs is touched by our environment, the Arctic, and so I thought it might be appropriate to start our presentations from the departments with geological. So geological engineering is one of the rarest forms of engineering, focusing on things like site characterization and selection, groundwater development and geoenvironmental assessment, hazard analysis and slope stability, mineral exploration and economic analysis, and cold regions geotechnical engineering. So here to say a little bit more about the program is the department chair, Dr. Margaret Darrow.
I'm Dr. Margaret Darrow. I'm the chair of Civil and Geological and Environmental Engineering at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. I'm out here on the banks of the mighty Tanana River on a beautifully warm fall day in interior Alaska with the family dog, here to tell you a little bit about geological engineering. So as a geological engineer, when I'm down here on this bank, I look out at that cliff over there and I wonder, how fast is the Tanana River eroding into the toe? Is that slope stable? Would I want to put a cabin or a house on top of it? Would that slope be stable if the water table came up or if the ground shook during an earthquake? And at the University of Alaska Fairbanks Geological Engineering program, we give you the background and skills to be able to address those questions. And as you look out over the south, this is an area of discontinuous permafrost, and it's very difficult to engineer for. And again, at the University of Alaska Fairbanks, America's Arctic University, we address those problems through thermal modeling, testing of frozen soil. We do a lot of research in frozen ground, so we have students work in those areas of research too. I go anywhere and I look at these problems and I think about things related to geological engineering all the time. If you like to be outside in the field and you also like math and physics and geology, then maybe geological engineering is the place for you. GEs work closely with civil engineers, and so to tell you more and show you more about what civil engineering has at the University of Alaska Fairbanks, I'm going to pass the mic back to Joe.
And that's me. So she passed the mic back to me. So only one video for civil and geological and environmental engineering. So I will talk a little bit about the civil side of things. So civil engineering is engineering as it relates to kind of our modern society. So all the things that we live in and use. So some areas of emphasis: geotechnical, structural, environmental, water resources, transportation, construction. This is the city that you live in. So roads, bridges, buildings, transportation systems, water treatment facilities, sewer systems, air quality controls and measurings. These are all parts of civil engineering. Civil engineering is the second most popular field within the College of Engineering and Mines. It's behind mechanical, which is the most popular. And it's one of the fields that's really interesting in that Alaska is a really fascinating place to be working in civil engineering. Well, in fact, Alaska is an interesting place to be working in pretty much any field of engineering. But there's a lot of work for people to do and a lot of projects for students to get involved with. So as an example from the research side of things, if you are interested in getting involved, the Alaska University Transportation Center has been a research unit at the Institute of Northern Engineering in the College of Engineering and Mines for more than a decade, doing research in all sorts of things like material design and contaminant mitigation and air quality analysis, to things like educational projects, designing ways to teach students about permafrost and about road safety and things like that. So civil engineering is a really huge field. And remember, this is one, just like geological engineering is the kind of engineering you definitely want to think about if you really like being outside, you really like going into nature, going places people haven't been. Civil engineering, on the flip side of that, is a great field if you like people, because remember, it's all about civilization. That's what the civil is. It's about working with other people and helping societies grow and develop. So if you're interested in civil engineering, it's an excellent field, and we've got a whole lot of wonderful opportunities for you in that program, and a lot of great work for you to get involved with. Not to mention some wonderful student clubs and organizations. I will put a quick plug in here just because I like to. So Civil has some of the more visible student clubs and organizations such that erect things like, as you can see, this is the Ice Arch from 2 years ago, a tradition that the UAF Civil Engineering Department has been doing since 1965. They also participate in the National Steel Bridge competition, generally placing in the top 10, and more often, well, probably at least half the time in the top 5, it feels like. And we've been participating in that program since 1993. And we are also participating in the concrete canoe competition. So if you would like to learn about material science and how to literally make a canoe out of concrete and then race it, you should check us out. Anyway, let's talk about mining. So mining engineering, the original program of the University of Alaska Fairbanks, before it was the University of Alaska Fairbanks, way back in the halcyon days of the Alaska Agricultural College and School of Mines back in 1917. So mining engineering focuses on things like mine design, mine safety, supervising production, reclamation, and ensuring regulatory compliance. So let's hear what the students and faculty from the mining engineering program have to say about it.
My name is Michaela DeVries Paris. I joined UAF Mining because of my love for geology, blowing up things with drill and blast, and the opportunities I've gotten through UAF, like interning in Alaska and Nevada in different mining companies.
Hi, my name is Sally Amstida. Thanks to these scholarships the mining department provides, I will be able to graduate debt-free.
Hi, I'm Wyatt Verena here at UAF. I get all the hands-on practical experience I need.
The UF Mining Engineering Department provides students with a lot of internship opportunities and practical training.
Here at UAF's Experimental Mine, we take safety seriously.
Our involvement with the Society of Mining Engineers allows us to network with professionals in the industry.
Alaska has been blessed with an incredible mineral endowment. Mining industry in Alaska is growing at a very rapid rate. The mining engineering program at UAF is the only ABET accredited mining program in the state and among only 14 others in the nation. Mining engineering provides excellent high-paying career opportunities for graduates both in-state and around the world. We have almost 100% placement record. The mining program at UAF is the oldest program at the university with a rich history of over 100 years. Mining also provides the highest amount of scholarships per major at the university, average of over $4,000 per year. There are internship and co-op opportunities right from the freshman year. The mining program also has a 2+2 arrangement with UAA. Come study mining and see a world of opportunity open up post-graduation.
And our next department is electrical engineering. So electrical engineering focuses on things like electric and hybrid vehicles, alternative energy, instrumentation, bioengineering, wireless communication systems, robotics, and remote sensing with things like satellites, radar, and lasers. And here's a little bit more information from Dr. Rich Weiss, the chair of the department.
Hi, I'm Richard Wise. I'm the department chair in the Electrical and Computer Engineering Department at the University of Alaska Fairbanks. You might wonder sometimes about what electrical engineers or what engineers even do. Well, electrical and computer engineers, what we do is we design systems to solve real-world problems. I'll give you some examples, and all of these are focus areas that we have for study in our department. We have tele and satellite communications. Can you hear me? Can you hear me now? We deal with embedded systems, where that's where you're like building like a microcontroller and programming it to like control the lights in your home. We also deal with power and energy systems, where like this PV panel behind me, this solar photovoltaic panel, where we could integrate it onto our home and actually use it to power, or we could use it in a remote location. Or like behind me, this distribution line coming in to this utility service pole that has a meter on it. All forms of electrical engineering are there, from the transport of the power to the meter itself recording the data. It has an embedded system in it, a little microcontroller, and it communicates back using cellular signal to the utility to tell them how much power we're using. And then control systems to control like these drones that you see flying, that the students are flying at the Patty Center, and all sorts of different systems that we use throughout the world. So we have all of the stuff that's oftentimes not seen, and it's hidden inside mechanical systems and such. If you think you might be interested in electrical or computer engineering, please visit our website at cem.uaf.edu/ECE, or you can contact us via email at uaf-ece@alaska.edu, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
All right. And our next step, our partner here for electrical engineering, is computer engineering. So computer engineering focusing on things like computer security, artificial intelligence, web access, cloud computing, and robotics. And here's Dr. Dan Raskovich to tell you a little bit more about the wonderful world of computer engineering.
Hi. If you're someone who wants to design, build, and program devices and systems based on microprocessors and microcontrollers, then a computer engineering degree at the Electrical and Computer Engineering Department would be a great option for you. If you are struggling to decide between computer science and electrical engineering, then again, computer engineering degree would be a great option for you. Computer engineers are using their understanding of software to build better hardware, and using their knowledge of the hardware they build to write better programs for it. And while we all know that money is not important and can't buy you happiness, U.S. News Report in September of 2020 ranked computer engineering graduates as #1 by starting salary. Plus, you're going to have a lot of fun getting this degree. After taking a number of electrical engineering courses and computer science courses, computer engineering students' education culminates in the senior project design course, where they do a significant project. I teach this course, and in 5 of the last 6 years, I had students do projects for NASA, the projects that were defined and supervised by NASA researchers. Devices they build range from robots to implantable medical devices. Our graduates work for embedded hardware companies, in the biomedical industry, semiconductor companies, you name it. Anybody can benefit from hiring a computer engineer. When was the last time you used something that didn't have a microprocessor in it?
Quite a bit of code we needed while doing this with OpenGL and with the C++ backend, and so yeah, it's pretty intense.
My name is Dr. Dan Raskovich. I teach a lot of computer engineering courses, and I hope I'll see you in my lab soon.
bet if you've now learned about computer engineering, you probably want to learn a little bit about computer science. So computer science and computer engineering are very closely linked. A very simple way to think about the difference between the two disciplines is hardware software. So computer science focuses more on the software, so graphics, games, security systems, networks, all of that good stuff, whereas computer engineering focuses more on the integration, so the hardware part of it, how you actually interact with it. An analogy I like to use is think about like your video game system. If you have a PS4 or if you have a Switch or anything like that, the games, that's computer science, right? But and like the store, you click on the app that takes you to the store so you can buy games or so you can search the web or whatever. That's computer science. But the controller, the system itself, all the buttons, all of that stuff, that's computer and electrical engineering. So you really need one to have the other. And I do think it's worth taking a moment to point out the difference. So now let's hear from Dr. Orion Lawler and what he has to say about what he likes about computer science.
What I love about computer science is that we get to build the technology that we use every day. I program, so I built a system NetRun that lets me run code, measure its performance, and then visually see the results all in a browser from anywhere. UAF Computer Science has a student-run Discord server. We have separate channels for each of our classes, which was always a pain to maintain, so student Caitlin wrote a Discord bot that lets people into the right class channels themselves. Another student, Tyler, wrote a bot to forward announcements from the course homepage into the Discord channel. We also have several nationally competitive student clubs, such as our Computer Security Club, Game Development Club, and our Robotics Club that competes in the NASA Robotic Mining Contest. I'm the faculty advisor. Robotics is a great mix of all the engineering disciplines, but computer science is really the heart of autonomous robotics, and all of the network teleoperation is all computer science as well. And I feel like this combination of teleoperation and autonomy is really going to transform how we do space exploration, how we do remote mine sites, lots of Alaska-relevant technology that's also space-relevant, and I think it's going to transform the entire solar system. Now, computer science is not easy. Making complicated programs work, it can be incredibly challenging. It's some of the most frustrating stuff I have ever done personally. But when I'm immersed in programming, the whole external world falls away. I can spend hours just building things. Now, because it's so useful to build so many different things, computer science is also a lucrative occupation. It's among the highest paid college majors, and the skills can be used for a very long career doing anything you want. I'm Dr. Lawler, and I'd love to help teach you computer science at UAF.
So that's a little bit about computer science at UAF. And now we move into our largest department, which is mechanical engineering. So some could even make the argument that mechanical engineering is the original form of engineering, because as soon as our ancient ancestors were chipping at rocks to make points for spearheads and things like that, that was engineering. Like, we were creating something that existed in our heads that didn't exist in nature, and we were using tools with our hands, those cool things that we have that make us human, to create something new that would make life better for us. That's mechanical engineering, isn't it? It's a very fundamental and basic form of it, but in some regards, one could make the argument that engineering is part of what makes us human. And mechanical engineering is right there from the start. As my little commercial for mechanical engineering, I just think it's a very cool discipline. So some of the things to know about this field focuses on things like Arctic and subarctic, automotive engineering, dynamic systems and vibrations, mechanical design, so CAD and CAM, energy and the environment, fluid mechanics and heat transfer, material science and energy, and engineering, mechanics and materials, as well as microfluidics. This particular picture, this is actually from a mechanical engineering class that's part of the aerospace emphasis. The students designed and built that drone. So that's one of the assignments in one of the classes. So the students create their own kind of class that then is given a assignment, like they create a company to make drones to fulfill a proposal, essentially. So every year the assignment is different, so they have to design different kinds of drones to fulfill different things, and the goal is to get the contract from the government or from wherever so that you can make money. And that is a literal that is a reinterpretation for classroom purposes of exactly how engineering companies often work. So let's talk a little bit about mechanical. But the question is, what exactly do you do in mechanical engineering besides all of that stuff? Well, let's see. What do you do? So I could go on and on, of course, about any of the disciplines, but I particularly enjoy seeing all the many student projects that were featured in that particular video. And it's worth taking a moment to just say that is one of the things that's pretty great about UAF and the College of Engineering and Mines specifically, is that there's a lot of opportunities to just do things, whether it's getting involved with clubs and competitions, whether it's getting involved with research, whether it's doing summer work with the programs or in the industry or in internships and things like that. There's just a lot of opportunities to do things. And so now let's jump on to our final department, the Department of Petroleum Engineering. So petroleum engineering, quite similar in some regards to mining engineering, but instead of focusing on extracting mineral wealth from the earth, it's focused on petroleum wealth. So what petroleum engineers actually do, so they design equipment and processes to maximize recovery. They analyze to determine the qualities of recoverable hydrocarbons, because believe it or not, you probably do believe this, but it's not quite as simple as digging a hole and pumping out what's in the hole. It's quite a bit more complicated than that when it comes to recovering things like oil and gas. So there's a lot of different ways and a lot to do that depending on the environment and the quality of the qualities of the hydrocarbons. Deciding the drilling methods, which is a whole field of engineering, that's pretty cool, and monitoring, drilling, and production. So here's a little bit of information about the Petroleum Engineering Department.
We have a sort of niche area, if you will, and that is we are in Alaska, and that is something that actually differentiates us from the rest of the programs which are in lower 48.
It's a small department, so we know our students by name. They're not just a number, so they get that personal attention.
The other thing that I think is a real strength of the program is that they've had tremendous experience from all over the world and all kinds of oil companies in all kinds of different situations, and that's what I like about the university is we have the right people and they're in the right place and they have the right attitudes.
And now for a little bit more just about the college in general and about the university in general. So I only have about 10 minutes left because this presentation will end pretty abruptly at 45 after to prepare for the next session. So I will take a quick moment here to say that if you do have any questions, please feel free to type them into the Q&A, and if I have time at the end, I'll get to those. But even if we don't have time to get to them, I will get a transcript of the questions afterwards, so I'll be able to answer any individual questions I don't get to today, tomorrow, or as soon as they get me the transcript. You'll get your answers soon, don't worry. So, aerospace engineering, something that's worth noting about aerospace engineering is UAF is a land, sea, and space grant institution. We do have active NASA labs on campus. We also are the owners of Poker Flat, the world's only university-owned rocket range. This is that's what this rocket is launching from, is from that launch range. The aerospace program is a minor and an emphasis within the mechanical engineering department. But it's worth noting that not only mechanical engineers go into the aerospace industry. Aerospace is just like robotics, like what Dr. Lawler was saying, this involves way more than just one discipline to work in aerospace. So we have a lot of people in fields like computer engineering, electrical engineering, mechanical engineering, and computer science who wind up going on to careers in aerospace, and even some civils and folks like that. So if your eyes are towards the sky, but you don't necessarily want to be a mechanical engineer, that's okay. There's a lot of other ways we can help you get that career started. So this was mentioned a couple of times during the presentation, but these are median yearly salaries for engineers. And as you can see, engineers do make decent money. So these are as of November of last year. I always update this slide in November so that it's a month after the beginning of the federal fiscal year. So I haven't updated it yet, but these are last year's numbers, and they tend to only go up. So in general, this is a good field if money is a concern for you. And I don't want to pretend, just like everybody said, money's not going to buy you happiness, but it's kind of silly to pretend that money isn't a factor. So if you can do the job that you want to do and also as a bonus get paid really well, that's great. Wouldn't you want to do that? Engineering is one of those fields where you can. And to that end, we have quite the dedication, we have quite the commitment to our students to helping them actually find jobs. So to that end, we have a lot of things like internship fairs, job fairs. We had in September, we had the engineering job fair, even remotely. We still had a job fair next week, actually, at UAF. We have the government and nonprofit job fair, which is another place where many engineering students wind up working. We're very dedicated to getting our students jobs because at the end of the day, that's the reason you're going to school, isn't it? Like, you want to actually go do the thing. Like, you don't want to just go to class and learn the stuff. You then want to go use it. And that's part of our job too, is to help you find the job that you want. And to that end, I do want to give a quick little commercial, a little recommendation. Join a club, join an organization. Regardless of where you go, regardless of what you do, regardless of whether you go to UAF or whether you go to MIT or wherever, join a club or organization for a few reasons. First off, it's fun. If you're a petroleum engineer, for example, and you want to be a drilling engineer and you join the American Association of Drilling Engineers and you don't like it because you're just not that into drilling, are you sure that you want to be a drilling engineer? That's just an example. But in general, clubs and organizations are fun. That's one. Two, they help you network. Your clubs and organizations invite speakers. They have job shadow opportunities. They do all sorts of things with the industry and with the professors and the labs and stuff at the campus. So it's a great way for you to get to know the other people at the campus and in the community who are doing the thing that you want to do. And third, it can help you get better grades, because engineering, as many of the professors we've heard from have said, is not the easiest field. It does require a lot of work. It requires time in the lab. It requires time in the shop. It requires time studying. And everybody has weaknesses. Everybody's going to run into a class or two that just kind of kicks their butt. And if you're a part of a club or organization and you're part of that drilling engineering club and you're having trouble with your Calculus 3 class, for example, there are other students in that club who are either A, in that class, or B, took it last year and can probably help you. So definitely don't feel like you need to do this on your own, and best to get involved with an organization early, really. And why stop at one? Join more than one. They're excellent. Join where you're interested. So now we have about 5 minutes left. I want to tell you just a few quick things about UAF. That's a lovely picture of our building in winter. And that's a lovely picture of the campus in fall. Few facts. There's about 6,500 students on the main campus. Less than 1,000 are engineering students, so it's not a huge crowded college. The professor to student ratio is 1:11. There's over 140 degree options at UAF total, not just in engineering. Over $8 million a year in scholarships, and the deadline for that is February 15th. So celebrate Valentine's Day by asking UAF for money. And over $100 million, or around $100 million in research annually, and we are a land, sea, and space grant institution. We're also a residential campus, so we are an active campus. We do have events, we do have residence halls, we do have societies and activities on campus all the time. This year, notwithstanding, of course, because everything is somewhat curtailed due to COVID. But that is a nice thing about the philosophy of UAF is we're very focused on being a community more than just a school. Like, we also want to be a community where people live and play and have fun. We have traditions. So this is a picture from Starvation Gulch, which is our annual homecoming event. Why have a dance when you can have a fire? Winter Carnival, which is our annual celebration of winter every February. 14 out of 10, would pet, absolutely. And then, of course, Springfest, which is our April celebration of the end of winter. And if you'll notice here in the background, you'll notice that it doesn't exactly look that warm yet. Well, Fairbanks isn't the warmest place. But nevertheless, this is a couple weeks before finals, so we are going to celebrate, and that's part of the UAF spirit. So yeah, let's play some mud volleyball at 45 degrees and have some fun. We also have lots of excellent clubs and organizations and festivals. So this is a nice picture from the Festival of Native Arts, which is an event that's held every year and is organized by a student club. Here's pictures from the Lumberjack games. This picture actually, my friend Todd took this picture. It actually got an award nationwide. That was kind of cool. Recreation, remember, it's all work and no play makes Jack a dull boy, right? Or Joe in this case. It's important to also have fun. So we have excellent recreational facilities at UAF. We have 20 miles of groomed trails for skiing and running and snowshoeing. We've got an ice climbing wall. That's what this picture is from. We have an excellent student recreation center. There's a whole lot of things to enjoy. And on top of that, sports. So UAF has both NCAA Division I and Division II sports. So if you like hockey or basketball or swimming or volleyball, things like that, this is a great place to go if you'd like to watch or if you'd like to play as well. And we're quite affordable. So that's the non-resident tuition you're seeing here. So $24,808, that's quite a bit. Here's what you pay, $7,978. So that's quite a bit more affordable. Now, I'm not going to say to all of you, oh yeah, 20 grand a year, that's nothing, $17,000 a year. But by comparison to 34, it is. And that's one of the nice things about the UAF education is that it is quite affordable and you will be able to get a lot of bang for your buck, if you will. So that's who we are, to the top. Hands-on learning, research, labs, internships, experience, and success. That's what we're going for. We want you to succeed. We want you to get those jobs that you dream of. We want you to have the lives you want. And we want you to go change the world. And if you get rich and famous, hey, you can always cut me a check and say, hey, thanks, Joe, you're the best. So if you want to know more, ask. And there's my contact information. So thank you all very much. We've got a couple of questions in the Q&A. I will go ahead and answer. Okay, so we had a quick question about the living learning communities. So one of the things that's cool at UAF is that we have living learning communities in our residence halls. So there's a floor of one of the residence halls that's just the new students for engineering. It's the engineering living learning community. So all the students on that floor are all new engineering majors. So they have things like shared classes. We do events for them. They get specific contacts and support from the college as well as from the housing folks. It's a great way to kind of get integrated and get into the college and also into the university as a whole. We also have living learning communities for things like social action, for things like the Honors College, for things like outdoor adventures, for people who like to go hiking and skiing and stuff like that. So yeah, there's a whole lot there. And speaking of the Honors College is a great option for students who want to accelerate, or well, not accelerate, excuse me, to enhance their undergraduate education experience. So the UAF Honors College is part of the honors program kind of nationwide. It meets all those criteria. It's basically an enhanced version of your bachelor's degree. So if you want a little bit more challenge and you want a little bit more diversity in your classes, because honors classes are people from all majors are taking those honors classes. It's not just engineering majors, it's not just science majors, it's not just art majors, it's all sorts of different majors. So the honors program is a really excellent thing to consider if you want a little bit more challenge in your undergraduate educational experience. And it comes with extra opportunities for things like funding, for things like research and travel and jobs and things like that. So we're just about out of time. I'm going to go ahead and stop my share and go ahead and turn my video back on. I think we've answered all of your questions for now. And thank you all very much for your time. I really appreciate it. And my email address one more time is joe.uaf@alaska.edu. joe.uaf@alaska.edu. I'd love to hear from you and answer your questions. And thank you for being here. Have a wonderful day. Stop my video.
It would help if I unmuted myself. Thank you so much, Joe. That was fantastic. And thank you everyone so much for joining and participating. Just a couple more things to add. Once we exit out of this webinar, there is going to be a really quick link that is sent to you. There are 4 questions. We'd appreciate it if you provide some feedback. Also, there are a lot of different sessions that are happening, not just today, but also tomorrow. And you can find those at strivescan.com/Alaska. Again, that's strivescan.com/Alaska. And in about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recording as well as the other sessions that were offered today, this evening, and then tomorrow. They will all be available on that same website. So thank you all so much for joining. And feel free to reach out to Joe if you have any additional questions. All right, have a great night, everyone.